hi to come into the room this morning. Everybody give it up for Pat Wictor, our artist of the day. Thank you so much, Pat, for bringing us in with that beautiful, beautiful sound. Oh, what a perfect way to start the day. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Daily Antidote of Song. Today is day 1756. I'm Erin, coming in from the Bronx in New York City, and I'm so glad to be here with our fabulous artist of the day, new to us, Pat Wictor. We'll hear more from him in just a moment. We are also joined by one of our favorite hosts, Reggie Harris, who we'll hear more from in just a moment. But first, let's welcome everyone into the room. Help me wave hello to everyone watching out there on the live stream. Hey, live streamers, we're so glad that you're in here with us. Hello and thank you to Candace in LA running tech for us. Hi to our fearless leader, Joe Rossi in New Hampshire. Hi to Ellen with a familiar last name, Wictor. I bet you're here for Pat. So glad to have you here with us today. Hello to Susan in Cincinnati, Dick and Kathy in Victoria, BC. Arlene in Berkeley, California, Pauline in Newcastle, UK. Hello to Delhi in Maryland, Neil in Boston. Hi to Marcia. Hello to Linda rocking on Orcas Island. Jenny in Suffolk, UK. Hi to Nan in Michigan. Kay in Texas. Linda. Hello. Hi to Aloysius in Massachusetts. Hi to Sandy in Baltimore, Maryland. Jamie in Bristow, Virginia. Hi to Kathy in California. Hi to Bob in Albany, New York. Hi to Benet in Berkeley, California. Kathleen in Albuquerque. Hey to Susan in Seattle. Maggie in San Ramon, California. Hi to Sarah in Texas. Carolyn in Boise, Idaho. Hi to Marcia again. Hello to Caroline in DC. Rich, hello. Hi to Clive and Ruth in Birmingham in the UK. Hi to David and Elsie in Oakland, California. Linda in Concord, Mass. Maxine and John, hello. Hi to Doug in Vermont. Hi to Bonnie in Boise, Idaho. Jamie in Victoria, BC. The Curly Tops in Vermont. Let's see who we've got on page 2. So many friends joining us today. Anne in Silver Spring, Maryland. Athena in Brooklyn, New York. Hey. Hi to Kathy in Colorado. Trish in Victoria, BC. Annette in California. Cricket in Maryland. Elizabeth in California. Carol in Connecticut. Hoda in BC. And Lynn in Connecticut. I think that's everybody that we've got right now. So I am now delighted to turn it over to the wonderful Reggie Harris. Take it away, Reg.
Oh, thank you, Aaron, and hello, family. I think this is the first time I've had an opportunity to wish all of you a happy new year. And we are not going to let the events of the last week take away our joy and our happiness. So I'm going to say it like I mean it. Happy New Year. The year has begun in all kinds of ways, and we'll talk about that. But today I get to host a consummate musician, a really wonderfully concerned and active, loving human being who happens to be, and I don't say this lightly, one of my favorite human beings in the world. He's a great musician. Many people know him as 1/3 of the group Brother's Son, but Pat Wictor is so much more than even that amazing accomplishment. And today he's here to share a remarkable song that he wrote with us. And Pat, I'm going to turn this over to you and say what you got for us.
All right. Thank you so much, Reg. So great to see you. So great to see all of you here today. Let's do some singing. So this song is a little bit of call and response. And so I'm going to sing a line and you're going to sing a line back. I'll sing a line, you'll sing a line. You have only 3 words to remember. 4 words to remember. 5 words to remember. How will they tell it? That's really all that you need to remember. That's the title of the song and that's your refrain. So it goes like this. When the story of our time is told, how will they tell it? Want to try that? Let's try that. When the story of our time is told, how will they tell it? Good. Now the second line also has a slightly different melody. Will they say that we were were brave and bold. How will they tell it? Try it again. How will they tell it? Good. Did our conscience stir much too late? How will they tell it? I think you got that one. Will they say we lived in fear and hate? How will they tell it? Going up at the end, let's try it. How will they tell it? Good. And then I'll do the next section by myself, but here's something you could do. You could sing some oohs. Aren't we the ones who write this tale? Oh, were we strong or were we frail? Did we succeed or did we fail? And then you guys come back in with the how will they tell it? How will they tell it? How will they tell it? Try it. How will they tell it? How will they tell it? You guys got the hang of it? Feeling good? Okay, all right, let's launch. Right here it goes. When the story of our time is told, how will they tell it? Will they say we were brave and bold? How will they tell it? Did our conscience stir much too late? How will they tell it? Will they say we lived in fear and hate? How will they tell it? Aren't we the ones who write this tale? Oh, were we strong or were we frail? Did we succeed or did we fail? How will they tell it? How will they tell it? All right, verse 2, you guys got it. Will they say that we were just and fair? How will they tell it? When the powerless cried out, did we care? How will they tell it? Did we greet our neighbors with a smile or frown? How will they tell it? Did we let the loudest shout us down? How will they tell it? At our children's birth, will they know that we had put them first? Did we give our best or do our worst? How will they tell it? How will they tell it? Okay, now here's the surprise. This next section is a scat singing section. So I think you all should just do a little bit of scat singing, a little kind of Caribbean, let it fly as you feel it. Ba ba da da ba 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 da 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 ba ba da 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 ba ba da 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 ba ba da 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 ba da Great scat singing, nice job. Will they say that we were kind and wise? How will they tell it? Or were we silent in the face of lies? How will they tell it? Did we sacrifice for the good of all? How will they tell it? Or did we just build fences and more walls? How will they tell it? We can work together or we can't fight, but we all know which way sheds more light. The story now is ours to write. How will they tell it? How will they tell it again? How will they tell it? How will they tell it?
Woo! you.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Oh, I think you can see folks are giving you some love, Pat.
Mm. That is beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for
Oh,
singing. Thanks for the applause.
what a delightful, delightful song. And under that delightfully tripling melody are some really powerful thoughts. How did you
Oh,
come
thank
to
you.
write that song?
Well, I kind of I wrote the song really for a moment like this. It's a week like this where it looks like, this is, in my opinion, and of course, not everyone in the country shares this opinion, but in my opinion, this was not a good week for our fair country. Um, and in these moments where it looks bad, it's very easy to get caught up in solely this moment, to not remember everything that came before it, to not remember that so much is going to happen after this. And so I wrote the song thinking about the very long view. You know, we're living in this very strange time with a lot of really strange stuff happening, and someday people are going to tell the story of
Hmm.
these times that we're living through. And so I started thinking about how people in the future are going to look back on this time, and they're going to ask the question, so how did this happen, and what did we do? And so, for me, also, what I wanted to get in there was that, this history is always being written, and it's always being written by us. We are the ones who write this tale. And so, um, that's. I wrote the song a few years ago, but there's always a moment where we need a little reminder to sort of widen the lens and think about the larger arc of things, the larger picture. A lot of things happen to get us into this moment. A lot of things will happen after it. I take comfort in that. If you're only thinking of this moment, then it's really it feels like there's nowhere to go. And so
Hmm. Uh-huh.
if you remember that this is just a snapshot, um, then you remember, okay, a lot of things are going to happen after this. People will do things. People will respond. People will create things. I think this is a very I know this may feel Pollyanna-ish because people who want to make things better always sound a little bit Pollyanna-ish. But 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 I do believe that this is a very creative time. There are a lot of very creative, um, innovative people thinking of lots of different things. They are not these are there are a lot of good minds at work and good hearts at work right now, and the what will come of all of that has not come to fruition yet, but it's
Hmm.
going to. I am absolutely convinced of that. And so we need to keep our eyes on the longer picture, in my
I
opinion.
love that. There was a movie years ago where one of the taglines that they kept coming back to was the person would say, "This happened," and they would say, "Is that a good or a bad thing?" And the principal character would say, "At this point, we don't know."
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And so I think this week in particular, it has been very good to kind of look at that long term because we get really, you're right, we get really settled on the events of not even every day, every hour.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yes.
yeah, we think about the fact that we are also making choices. All of
That's
us
right.
don't get to be the bishop who actually gets to talk to the leader sitting in front of them.
Right.
But we do
Right.
talk to a lot of people, and we also live our lives in front of a lot of people. And the choices
Yes.
that we make, which is exactly, I think, the point of your song, the choices that we make every day change the world in some way, shape, or form. So,
Absolutely. We
yeah,
we
great
set
choice.
we set examples.
Yeah,
We are examples to the people around us, and that I believe in my heart of hearts that matters enormously. No one can take that away from you. you still get to choose the person you are and how you treat people and how you interact and what you do. No one can take that away from us.
Amen to that. For anybody who is not quite familiar with you and your marvelous work and career, you want to give just a little snapshot of kind of where you come from and
Sure,
how you've landed in this spot?
sure. I'm trying to think of the Cliff's Notes version here. I would
Were you
say
born
that
here in the United States?
I was not. I was born in Venezuela. And my mother and father, who my mother was from California, my dad was from Iowa, they met in Venezuela. My dad was working there in the oil business. My mother was working there as a school teacher. And so I and four of my siblings were all born in Venezuela.
Oh,
And then we ended up moving around a lot. So I lived outside the States most of my early years growing up. I lived in East Texas, Tyler, Texas, and then from there moved to the Netherlands, Norway, England, and back to Norway a second time. And that's where I graduated from high school.
hmm.
So, but the weird thing about all this was that, I was in these small American schools that had very participatory music programs, and that's where I learned to play the guitar. They made all the eighth graders in my school learn to play the guitar, and I was
Really?
like, twist my arm. And so really I'm a product of music education. That's what gave me my start playing music. And it was the same thing with singing. So I didn't think of myself as a singer. I was a guitar player until I was a senior in high school. And then we had this very intrepid music teacher who just said, "You're a singer now." And I said, "Well, okay." And so I joined the choir and as a senior in high school, and suddenly I was singing and playing the guitar as well. And that really gave me my start. And I played music recreationally for a lot of years until I was, in my mid 30s. And I was a high school teacher at the time, and I realized, if I really want to take a crack at this, I should really find a way to do as much of this as I can. And so, like an idiot, I quit my teaching job and
You can't go there. You can't go there. We've all done that idiot thing.
and
We
and
didn't
be
read the fine print in the folk music contract.
well, I figured everyone was going to flock to my banner, and they were, and when they didn't all show up immediately, it was a little bit disturbing. But slowly over a period of years, from after I quit my teaching job, I started to build a small audience playing acoustic music. I'm not really, for those of you hearing me for the first time, I don't do mostly Caribbean-based music. I that song was kind of an outlier for me. It kept coming out as sort of a calypso. I couldn't. The song wants to be what it wants to be. You,
That's the
you
way it
know this
happens.
experience, Reg.
Yeah.
It's going to go musically where it wants, and I kept trying to turn it into something else, and then it kept coming back as a calypso. So I just went with it, which was a little. It was a stretch for me because I don't know that much about calypso music, and this is
Hmm.
my sort of folky adaptation of it, I guess.
Well, it's a lot of times we get to stick our foot in the water in another genre,
Yeah.
and you've stuck your foot in a lot of different musical adventures because you are one of the most requested sidemen in the folk music world. I mean, I know that everybody when we met on Phil Oak Song Nights, it was funny to me that, each of us would get up to do our performance, and it seemed like you were on stage backing somebody up at least three-quarters of the time.
This is part of what I love. I mean, we all do most of our performing solo, but what I really love is making music with friends, and I've done a lot of recordings. I've played on several, I don't know, several dozen, less than 100 and more than 50, of friends' records. I'm on Daniel Bowling's new record. And
Oh,
also Judy Cass is putting out a new record with Sloan Wainwright, and I ended up singing on that and
I
played
think
some
you're
guitar.
on one of Reggie Harris's records.
I'm on a couple of Reggie Harris's
That's
records, if
that's
I
what I thought.
remember,
Yeah,
if I
yeah. It
remember
comes to
correctly.
mind that I'd
So,
run into you somewhere. Tell me something. With all of that, so we are in this new landscape, and music. We all believe will have a very, very big part in enduring this landscape and being persistent, and also keeping our joy quotient at the proper level. Considering that we'll be facing an awful lot. I know I was just reading a Maya Angelou quote the other day where she said something like, "We will all encounter obstacles, but we must never feel defeated." And I think music certainly in the very many movements has been that. So, what is your hope for using your music at this time?
I remember something John Gorka said not long after September 11th that always stuck with me, which is that he said, he believed for a long time that music could change the world and that he wasn't so sure about that anymore. But what he did feel was that music was a really important companion for us as we go through things and as we do things. Music it's a companion that will help sustain us. And so I feel that way about music. I don't, I'm no longer making great claims about the healing properties of my music or the social impetus that comes from my music. I don't make claims like that. But if someone listens to it and it helps sustain them and get them through the day and make them feel a little better, then I've done my job. So I think that's really, we're going to need that. We need stuff to help us get through the day right now. And so music, that's one of the healthier things we can turn to. So, um,
Well, I'm going to tell you that last week I spent 8 days with 23 students from Nazareth University and taking them through a civil rights pilgrimage experience.
mhm.
And just like with the civil rights movement, uh, as they began to really take in the images and the devastation to lives and to communities that happened during the civil rights movement and before, um, the music really began to focus them in a way that these young people who I happen to know do not sing spontaneously every day. At one point, as we left our dinner on our way to our hotel, from the back of the bus, they began to sing "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine."
Just
And
spontaneously.
spontaneously, and they did not stop until we got to the hotel, and they made up their
Wow.
own verses,
Wow.
and
Wow.
they did exactly what I was asking them to do: leave me out of it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
took it over,
They,
and they had an experience of what those people felt in
yeah.
that very, very, very caustic moment. So I believe still I'm kind of with you. I'm uh, change the world. We don't know, but comfort and enlighten us and help us to persist. Uh, I'm fully on board for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's powerful
Anywhere
stuff.
that anywhere you're performing that you want to hold up
Uh,
to our.
That's a great question. In 2 weekends, I'm going to be in Savannah, Georgia, at the First Fridays on February 7th, and in on Saturday, February 8th, Bluffton, South Carolina. So anybody who's somewhere near there. Um, I've also got another mini tour at the end of February. In Philadelphia on the 27th, in Charlottesville, Virginia on the 28th, and I'm sorry, in uh, Philadelphia the 27th, um, Columbia, Maryland on the 28th, and Charlottesville, Virginia on March 1st. So That's sort of what's coming up. I also, for people who might go to music camps, I'm going to be part of the Swannanoa Traditional Song Week, as are you, Reg.
I know we're going to
Traditional
be there
Song Week,
together.
which I'm super excited about. So that's going to be in the first week of July, I think, or second week of July. Second week of July, I believe.
Hmm.
And I'm also teaching at Summer Songs later on in July as well, which is a songwriting camp. So
And your
anyhow, these are
website
all
is?
things. What my website is patwictor.com, patwictor.com. So that's a good way to keep up on what I'm doing. And there's also installments of my newsletter on there. I write a newsletter called A Few Choice Words. It's a monthly newsletter that comes out quarterly because I can't seem to get it out
I know
monthly.
that feeling.
And it's a way to keep conversations going. I usually include something about what I'm thinking about or reading or listening to along with my tour schedule, and it's kept a lot of great dialogues going in between the times we get to see each other. So you can subscribe to that on my website if you're not already subscribed.
Well, that's one way that we keep people informed as to where we are finding our way in this journey. I was up late last night actually working on my newsletter, and I
Yes.
just released it this morning.
Yes, a lot of sleepless nights we're going to allude
Oh,
to
yeah.
together.
I did want to mention for myself that I'll be also in the South. I'm going to be in Hendersonville, North Carolina on February the 2nd during a morning service at 10:30, and then doing a concert in the afternoon of my program, A Family Revealed, talking about my connection to my white Wickham family cousins and our journey together of discovering that we are indeed cousins. So that's on February the 2nd. And then I'll be at the Swain County Arts Council um, for a public performance, also of Family Revealed, on February the 4th. And I'm going to actually stay in the South. I'm doing a performance on February the 7th at the Chatham Community Library in Pittsburgh. So my website is reggieharris.com and reggieharrismusic.com. And yeah, we every now and then you and I get to hook up. We have some dates that'll be coming up
Yes.
later in the spring.
Yeah, which I'm so excited about. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
well, that's always a very, very, very deep world of inspiration when we get together, and we're together right now. So why don't we do that song again so we can get fortified to get us through this weekend and into next week, so we can greet all of these occurrences with a little bit more solid ground.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay.
Here it comes. When the story of our time is told, how will they tell it? Will they say that we were brave and bold? How will they tell it? Did our conscience stir much too late? How will they tell it? Will they say we lived in fear and hate? How will they tell it? Aren't we the ones who write this tale? Oh, were we strong or were we frail? Did we succeed or did we fail? How will they tell it? How will they tell it? Will they say that we were just and fair? How will they tell it? When the powerless cried out, did we care? How will they tell it? Did we greet our neighbors with a smile or frown? How will they tell it? Did we let the loudest shout us down? How will they tell it? At our children's birth, will they know that we had put them first? Did we give our best or do our worst? How will they tell it? How will they tell it? All right, when you scat sing this time, take a different route than you took last time. I'll see if I can do that too. Ready? Ba 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 da ba dee da da. Ba 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 da ba dee da da. Ba da ba ba da da ba da ba ba da 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 da. Ba ba da ba ba da 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 dee da 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 dee dee da 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 da. Ba ba da 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 dee 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 da. Ba da da dee da dee da da. All right, nice job. Will they say that we were kind and wise? How will they tell it? Or were we silent in the face of lies? How will they tell it? Did we sacrifice for the good of all? How will they tell it? Or did we just build fences and more walls? How will they tell it? We can work together or we can't fight, but we all know which way sheds more light. The story now is ours to write. How will they tell it? 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 Cha-cha-cha.
Well, thank you, Pat Wictor, for spending this time with us and bringing such a very happy, powerful song. We have our part. We're on mission.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have a moment with you, Reg. Thank you so much to Joe Rossi. Thank you so much to Aaron and Candace and all the staff who make this happen. Thanks to all of you for showing up. It's so great to see you all. I want to call out all of your names right now, but you are called out earlier. I see lots of people I know and love, and lots of people that I'm new to. So what a treat to
Well,
be here
Pat,
with
that
you
just
all.
means that we'll have to have you back on as a host one day, and then you can call out everybody's name. That's what I'm about to do right now.
You're on,
Thank you,
Aaron.
Aaron.
I look
Real
forward
quick
to that.
before we say goodbye, please everybody give it up one more time for Pat Wictor and Reggie Harris. What a dream team. Now, if you tune back into the Daily Antidote of Song tomorrow, you'll get to see Gabe Hutter coming in from Tacoma Park, Maryland, another new friend of the Daily Antidote of Song, which we know is going to be spectacular. So please come on back tomorrow and we'll have another great time. Now it's time to say goodbye. So everybody, help me wave goodbye to anyone watching out there on the live streams. Goodbye, live streamers. We're so glad that you were here watching and singing with us. And goodbye to everyone in the room. Goodbye again to Pat Wictor, our fabulous artist of the day. Goodbye to Reggie Harris, our fabulous host of the day. Goodbye to Candace in LA, our tech person of the day. Thank you so much. Goodbye to Ellen of Pat and Ellen. Goodbye to Susan in Cincinnati. Bye to Dick and Kathy in Victoria, BC. Arlene in Berkeley, California. Pauline in Newcastle in the UK. Sarah in Texas. Neil in Boston. Linda rocking on Orcas Island. Jenny in Suffolk, UK. Nan in Michigan. Goodbye to Jamie in Bristow, Virginia. Goodbye to Bob in Albany, New York. Benet in Berkeley, California. Kathleen in Albuquerque. Cricket in Maryland. Annette in California. Sue in Seattle. And goodbye to Tora in the Berkshires in Massachusetts. Bye to Martha in Oregon. Liana in Vermont. Goodbye to Sheila in Florida. Carolyn and Pete Seeger Puppet in Boise, Idaho. Goodbye to Ann in Silver Spring, Maryland. Storm in Massachusetts. Athena in Brooklyn, New York. Same place as our artist of the day. Goodbye to Michael in North Carolina. Goodbye to Caroline in DC. Clive and Ruth in Birmingham in the UK. David and Elsie in Oakland, California. Linda in Concord, Mass. Hoda in British Columbia. Kathy in Colorado. Goodbye to Trish in Victoria, BC. Doug in Underhill, Vermont. Bye to Jamie in Victoria, BC. Bonnie in Boise, Idaho. Linda in California. Let's see who else we've got to say goodbye to here. Diane in Coamo. Deli in Maryland. Maxine and John in, I'm assuming that end of that sentence says Cape Cod. Goodbye to Marcia in Haddocks. Goodbye to Rich. Goodbye to Sandy in Baltimore. Curly Tops in Vermont. Carol in Connecticut. Lynn in Connecticut. And our fearless leader, Joe Rossi in New Hampshire, probably on the road. It has been a delight to sing and chat with you all. Come back and join us again tomorrow. This has been the Daily Antidote of Song brought to you by Carpe Diem Arts, and we'll see you again. Bye.